You fought for all these different organizations. What do you think of it? This is a pretty impressive turnout for media day.
I think it's good for two reasons. I mean, it's good obviously the turnout, but then it's also good that we're in New York right now. In New York, MMA is still like taboo, and not sanctioned. And for us to come here and have this good of a turnout, but to have this good a turnout anywhere is great. But to have this sort of turnout in New York, where boxing is the sport. There's no MMA here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Were you around the media day yesterday, the press conference?
I didn't get to take it to that.
The crowd, a little under like 1,000 people showed up.
Yeah, exactly. I heard it was huge.
Yeah.
I think the weigh-ins are going to be even bigger. So I think it's awesome.
So did you work more this time with Frank? Like, did he kind of spend more time with you, or because I know you've worked with him in the past? So what was the difference this time?
This time he just brought me in and we just started working some wrestling stuff and kind of crisping up his takedowns and his defense and just everything was there for him. I just needed to come in and kind of fine tune a few things.
So he says a lot. In reference to Carwin and Lesnar, that they're better wrestlers. Kane's a better wrestler. Is he trying to play mind games a little bit, or is he that far behind in terms of his wrestling?
Well, I mean, straight wrestling. Yeah, I mean, Frank only wrestled in high school. Right. These guys wrestled, a couple years, 4 years in college. But that's not our sport. In the sport of MMA, wrestling, straight wrestling is, it's a decent portion of the pie, but it's not the full pie. Like I know high school wrestlers that have fought college level wrestlers and beat the hell out of them because they can stand up and they got more of a well-rounded game. When it comes to just straight wrestling and straight takedowns in MMA, you don't need a really high level of wrestling to stop a takedown or to even end up getting a takedown. Forrest never wrestled a day in his life. That dude, if he sets it up right, he can take me down. I wrestled 4 years in college, as an All-American, two-time All-American. If he sets up the shot, he can take me down.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't take a high level of wrestling to minimize good wrestling in the sport of MMA. So I mean, for Frank, even the high school level, he was a state champ. That's something that he said. So everything wrestling wise was there. I just needed to fine tune a few things.
So can you judge on the little material that's out there if Carwin is even a good MMA wrestler? Do we know?
No one. No, that's the thing. We don't know. I think we'll find out. He's definitely. I think once he gets cracked a few times, he's going to be trying to take Frank down. We'll see.
So is the biggest thing for Frank just staying in the middle of the cage, making sure that he doesn't get in a position where Carwin has help from the cage?
You know what? We worked on the cage, and I'm completely confident in Frank right now. He can get taken down with his head pinned against the cage. He can get taken down with his back to the cage. Carwin can push him up against the cage. Any of those bad positions, I'm 100%. We worked it so much that he's fluent there. It's now just second nature for him to move in the correct ways. He was kind of fighting himself, and some of the things that he was doing that when I first showed up was like, we kind of went through it. I was like, well, why are you doing this? Look at this option. See, this option here is much easier. And for him, it was there. He just hasn't trained that in a long time. He hasn't had a lot of straight wrestlers that were good in MMA. He's brought in the straight wrestlers, like when he fought Lesnar the first time. He brought in that guy from Ohio State who's just a wrestler. But that dude's never fought before.
Right.
He doesn't know what works in MMA. So, to have him bring me in where, I wrestled at a high level. I've also fought at a high level. I know what wrestling stuff works in MMA and what doesn't. So I think that was kind of the gap that we had to bridge there. But
he seems to be a guy, since he got his health back and he got his confidence back in his leg, maybe like 28, 29 years old, where it kind of clicked. And maybe even before that, it came too soon. Mm-hmm. Do you kind of see that with him, that now he's got this hunger to just keep getting better and better, and he's kind of a sponge?
I think he's always been a sponge. I think it comes natural for him to be a sponge. He's just an athletic dude. You show him something, the next day he's doing it better than what you showed it to him. So I think the demeanor and the attitude has changed absolutely. I think that's easy to see. He's just getting older. And that's what comes with age and experience and maturity. He's definitely matured as a person, as a family. As a dad, as a person, as an athlete. So it's just what comes with time.
And you think a guy who, say, walks in the cage or we'll say walks around at 265, which is what Frank is now, with technique can overcome guys who have solid technique but weigh 300 pounds normally. So there shouldn't be a strength difference.
No, absolutely. There's not that much strength difference between a guy that's built like him and a guy that's 300 pounds. He had a guy come in that does a cop in Vegas who's 350 pounds. When he practices good technique, that dude that has 350 pounds doesn't feel 350 because good technique will always overcome strength and power. So yeah, he's set. He's good.
So what do you think's going to happen? Is he going to stay on the feet the whole time? Is he going to pepper him on the feet?
I see him peppering him on the feet, and I see Carwin trying to take him down and getting frustrated, and maybe taking a desperation shot, and us ending up on top. Either submitting him or pounding him out, one of the two.